used to be cool. I used to have a 350Z. I loved that car. I did. It was a good car for the crap that it had been put through. But for real, if we want to get down to like the nitty gritty of why I got rid of it, reliability issues and shmoney. Buying one brand new car was cheaper somehow than having 3 shit boxes in the driveway.
Rush.
Between insurance, cost of repairs, surprise, surprise, and just like owning, just general like ownership. Where do I even start on the Z? First of all, I made a terrible decision. I did not get either the HR engine or the manual. I gotta
say it out loud.
I got an automatic. I know, rage comment, like, whatever, do what you will, roast me. I've already done it to myself.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
So that's where we done screwed up in the beginning. This car, bless its heart.
Bless her heart.
I basically bought what I thought was a pretty good deal at the time from like this kid, like literally still in high school kid. You know, it was the cleanest Z that I could find on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, like whatever. But that did not mean that it was still a clean car, if you know what I mean. And if you've ever looked for 350Zs in the used market,
All I see is death.
this car had Bondo in places, well, Bondo really shouldn't be like in a heavy amount of places unless it's just like subtle filler. First of all, there were cracks of Bondo all over the back end of this car that just got worse like as I owned it, unfortunately, as Bondo does over time. And it was an automatic. Did I already mention that? Who gets an automatic sports car?
They ask you how you are, you
Okay. Another thing with the Z too, so like it was black, so like of course I decided to like, I think paint the stock wheels black at the time, as everybody and their cousin does. So I kept getting confused with like everybody's cousin and their murdered out 350Z. It's like, were you doing donuts in the Walmart parking lot in Prattville at 7 p.m? It's like, no, that wasn't me. What were you doing? Drag racing in Auburn at like 12 a.m. in the morning? I could have sworn it was you. It's like, y'all think I live this crazy exotic lifestyle. Well, exotic. I just like go to work and back home every day.
You're not really fine, but you just
That's why I have a commuter car now.
can't get into it because they would.
Real talk. I had to make almost weekly repairs on that thing. Granted, it was so fun to drive, like even without a fucking standard or whatever, like it was still fun. And like I got compliments. I could rip down the highway if I wanted to.
However,
It was not comfortable, it was not fuel efficient, it was not good on insurance, granted, like standard sports car stuff, so like I needed the opposite of that, but could still customize. Also, I have 3 dogs and a giant lizard, and 1 full-sized husband. Could you imagine, like for any reason, like any kind of emergency reason, just like fitting all of those animals and my husband into one 350Z? They are not small dogs. So anyways, the Z served its purpose. I had my little flirtations with a 2-seater vehicle. I mean, I've never owned a 2-seater vehicle before, and it was fun. And I don't like subscribe to any kind of like specific car culture. So like I've had JDM cars, I've had American cars, I've had now a German vehicle. I just like decent driving vehicles. I'm not like JDM for life, man. Like, so long story short, I sold the Z to a friend of mine and he ended up fixing it up to where it should be and then reselling it and making a profit off of it to one of his friends. And I think now it's a young girl's first car. Which cool. Bet. I wish I had a cool dad that like gave me a 350Z as a cool car, like a first car. My first car was a Pontiac Sunfire. Do you know what I had to go through to make that thing start some days?
They ask you how.
So anyways, I've finally been like in a good financial decision where like I have been able to buy myself like my first new car. Granted, it's an economy car, it's a budget car, but I'm still like in a good place. That's a point for me. Like, started from the Pontiac Sunfire, now we're here. I don't know. I was at a point in time where I wanted a car that would at least get me from where I am to at least like 300, 400 miles and like not have any issues for the most part. That's why I chose a Volkswagen. At least it's a new Volkswagen and it's still in warranty, okay? For real, I did want something that was comfortable, that got good fuel efficiency, that was at least fun to drive. It wasn't your standard Nissan Altima, which I drive so many times a day working at a dealership. Do you realize how like minorly soul-sucking that is? Because it's something. So yeah, I wanted something that had like at least a little bit of pep and came in a fun color and specifically came with a manual transmission. After driving an automatic sports car, I'd had enough. So here we are, me looking around at cars. I had thought about getting a Toyota Corolla hatch, which I actually test drove. Something was just missing. And also, come for me if you will, but like I'm very anti like the side baroque styling now with a lot of new cars. It just wasn't for me, I guess. Which like granted, if you do want long-term reliability and like good resale values and still like a pretty fun car to drive, like look into the Corolla hatch. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's terrible, screw it. Like no, something was just missing. I don't know if it was the handling, whoop, so be it. So I got to thinking, I work for a luxury and import branch of dealerships, and one of those dealerships is Volkswagen. I reached out to one of my coworkers and I basically gave him a list of things that I wanted. And I was like, hey, can you do this for me? And he was like, weird, but we can't get this specific year model, because I wanted a 2020 because it was a little cheaper.
Money.
And I was like, well, fine. I hate that. And he was like, well, we can do a 2021 because there is one available in your specific needs and requests at this dealership over in like Warner Robins, Georgia, of all places. And I was just like, sure, bet. The car showed up like 2 days from then, and that's how I got a 2021 Jetta S in habanero orange with a 6-speed manual. Now, like, I would have been very apprehensive about the Mark 7 Jetta, don't get me wrong. I've never owned a German vehicle. That's like my husband's deal. But, you know, I've heard like really bad things from like the first years of the Mark 7. You know, the consumer reviews are not great. Like the automatic transmission, surprise, surprise, is like not that great. Warning sensors go out, like collision avoidance sensors, they go out, like it happened. The list goes on basically, but I didn't even realize they still came in a manual, but I ended up driving a version of one with a 6-speed, and I was just like, I can get with this. Like, I'm not mad at this at all. So I ended up crunching the numbers. I actually save money every month with a brand new car, paying full coverage insurance, than I did with a sports car and a truck and a shitty other vehicle that I had at the time with liability insurance. Another specific thing I had to have, because I can never drive a car stock. It's just not part of my religion, if you will. So the Jetta did not stay stock but for like 2 days. I love that car, man. I love that car. The aftermarket for it is surprisingly very diverse. And as far as like price goes, people are like, oh man, it's just so freaking expensive to customize German cars, and like maybe they haven't owned like a Jetta, maybe they owned something like an Audi Allroad perhaps, but the Jetta has been very reasonable to customize, definitely like comparable with the 350Z. I mean, I got a Borla catback exhaust for it for about, I think $600 at the end of it, which like granted I probably would have spent about the same amount for the 350Z. Aftermarket is not bad. Lowering springs for it were like $250. Will it be the most reliable thing down the road? I mean, probably not, if we're being honest. It's a Volkswagen. Like, as Brian said in regular car reviews, Volkswagen, fuck the next guy. And if that ain't kind of the subtle truth. Look, that's what warranties are for. On average, I own a car for about 1.5 years, so we'll see where this goes. But look, at the end of the day, sometimes you end up selling your sports car for a commuter sedan. It's not your girlfriend's Jetta, but it's still a Jetta.